Hello, and welcome to another week of Preacher Life. Well, for the last several weeks, we've been working on a deep dive into the Bible. And last week, I was back in bed and we read all of Genesis 1, the account of creation. Now, a couple notes is thankfully I'm in my chair again for this one, and very thankful to report that Joy is finally back. She says yay in the background. And last week, when I was reading on my computer, I was reading from the Legacy Standard Bible. And so, a quick note on Bible versions is that I'm reading from the New King James Version now. And some might ask, why are there all the different English versions of Scripture? Well, the King James Version that a lot of people knew was Old English. So instead of, say, asking, how are you, you might say, how be thee? Or something of that sort, and use a lot of these and thous and that kind of thing. And language changes over time. So that's why some newer Bibles are in updated language that we're familiar with today. And also, some are more literal than others, I guess, in their translating, in that some give a general idea of what is meant in a passage, and others are more word for word. And when I was reading last week, the Legacy Standard Bible is probably the most current word for word Bible that is around. And since it was just released here in the last about year and a half or so, I would say, then it's probably going to be the most current for a little while. But anyway, back to the point at hand. Or mouse stick, depending on which way you want to look. Today we're going to look at the first couple days of creation. So we're just going to read Genesis 1, verses 1 through 8. That's why I don't even need my stick today, because we're not changing pages. So, Genesis 1, starting at verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The earth was without form and void, and darkness was on the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. Then God said, let there be light, and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and the morning were the first day. Verse 6. Then God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Thus God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven. So the evening and the morning were the second day. Alright, so we have a few things to note in here. So, Genesis 1, verses 1 and 2 are sometimes given some debate, in that some well-meaning people originally, I think anyway, tried to put a gap between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2. Now, here in the English, there is a period at the end of verse 1 and verse 2, but if you talk to Hebrew scholars, which Genesis was written in originally, it was Hebrew, that the language leaves no room for a gap there. It is one continuous thought. So those that try to put a gap of millions or billions of years between these two verses, it doesn't work. It's one thought. It's not a possible time period. And so when you look at other areas of the Bible, such as what I noted last week in Exodus 20, verse 11, that just as the fourth day, or excuse me, the fourth commandment was that we work 6 days and rest for 7, is a reflection back to this chapter of Genesis 1, that everything was created in 6 days. And so therefore we see in these first 2 days that they started the heavens, the earth, and the light. That would be included in the 6 days of the work week. So there is no room for a gap there, even though people have tried to put it in. So let's look at the first day here a little bit closer. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, and God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So the evening and morning were the first day. So we can note a couple things here. First, right above this section, we see that the earth or the waters already existed somewhat, and that they were first. So if you try to fit something like the Big Bang in with the Bible, it again doesn't work because the order is incorrect. The Big Bang says there's a big poof, and that from that the stars formed, or sun as we call it here, and then after that the planets formed and went on from there. But this is the exact opposite, that the earth already existed, that was covered in water. And note here that God said, "Let there be light." We do not get the sun and the moon, or the greater light and the lesser light, until the fourth day of creation. We'll get to that here in a couple of weeks. So what was this light? Well, there's a lot of different theories of what it was. And some people have said you can't have light without sun. Well, I have lights in my bedroom here that are on, and we get light from them. And it's kind of partly cloudy out today, and I can't see the sun, but we're still getting light. So what was the greater or lesser light? We aren't certain exactly, but we know that God gave light and did not have to have the sun. We also read at the end of the Bible in Revelation, when there's a new heaven and new earth, that there will not be sun or moon, because God will provide the light, and we will not need the planets as we have now, or at least the sun, excuse me. And so therefore maybe God was the light at this time. That's a good possibility that a lot of people put forth. But no, we do not need to have the sun and moon right away, showing that, again, trying to fit a Big Bang model of evolution in with this text of scripture just doesn't work. And then at the end, the last sentence said, "So the evening and the morning were the first day." I've had some people ask, well, how can you have a day without having the sun and moon? Well, easily. Remember that a year now is going around the sun once, and that a month is the moon going around the earth. A day is just the planet spinning in a circle. You don't have to have the sun or the moon to have a 24-hour day. Say, people that are, say, exploring and in a cave and don't have access or visual sight of the sun or moon, well, a day still happens for them, just because they can't see the sun or moon. It still is 24 hours. I've been in a hospital room before, and I have not had access to a window or being able to see outside. Well, the day still happens whether I could see sun or moon or not. After several days in that situation, it starts to mess with your head. But, time still does go on. So, how there can be one or first day, well, it's just one rotation of the planet, and that's it. So let's get to the second day here. Then God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. Now, as I said a little bit earlier, there are different Bible translations, and in some of them, some of the words are translated a little bit differently. So the one I have here, it says firmament. Some will say sky, and top of my head, I think those are the main two that are used. There's sky and firmament. And there are different theories or ideas on exactly what it is of the separation. So some say, and I pretty well agree with this, that the separation is just like water we have today in oceans and that kind of thing, and the clouds of that water. And that's the separation. So anything of sky starts anything from the earth. So I would say technically, your feet are on the ground, or close to it in my situation, and your head might be in the sky. And you can get all kinds of things out of that saying, but that would be a start to space, I believe. I've had other theories, or heard, that some people think that maybe there might be water on the very edge of visible space, which they've given different theories and explanations on how possible, but I won't say yes or no on that. But again, this is of God creating again that He divided the earth as we see it now, and this was the second day. So before we get into the third day and those, we have the start of the earth here, just in 2 regular days. And as I said last week, if we can't believe the beginning of a book, why would we believe the rest of it? So that's why we're looking at this a little bit more in depth after we did the commandments. And we will look at it some more here in this following week, and we'll do at least one day, if not 2, as we go along. But please let me know questions down below. I know that in 15 minutes or less here, we don't cover a lot, and I may come back and do a little bit more in depth, but we'll see. At this point, though, that's where we'll end for today. So, thanks for watching, and bye for now.